Believe it or not, the first time I met this aeroplane was on the beach in Calais in 1980, when it was just a wreck that was emerging from the sand where it had laid since 1940. And since then it's gone through this remarkable metamorphosis from a pile of wreckage into this beautifully restored aeroplane.
As you've heard, it arrived from us from a beach. Lots of boxes full of corroded parts and lots of other useful items. And over a 4-year period of intense investigation, both engineering-wise and historical-wise, we've rebuilt her to the standard that you see now. She's very unique. She's been rebuilt to be exactly as she was just before she was shot down way back in May 1940. And so we have some very unusual but early characteristics of the Spitfire. We have fabric-covered ailerons which were changed in the Battle of Britain. We have an old hand-pumping undercarriage system because we don't have an engine-driven hydraulic system. And we have a 2-pitch propeller, which is probably the biggest of the things which is unique to this aeroplane. That gives us a number of challenges, both in the restoration and the flying, because it is a very early, unmodified design of Spitfire. And so what we're seeing here is really the aeroplane that Mitchell really designed, rather than the aircraft that later on had over, well, between this and the Mark V, over 700 modifications. So it's a very early aeroplane. It's taken in intense restoration, many thousands of man-hours. But here she is, probably the most unique Spitfire in the world now.
The pilot of this aeroplane in 1940 was Flying Officer Peter Cazenove, and he force landed on the beach after being hit by German gunfire from a bomber that he was attacking. And he was probably only hit by one bullet, and he made a perfect force landing on the beach at low tide, wheels up. The aeroplane sunk into the sand, and that's where it stayed until it emerged in 1980. And he was actually taken prisoner by the Germans in Calais, and he went off to a prisoner of war camp in Germany. In fact, he was involved on the periphery of the Great Escape at Stalag Luft 3. But he survived the war, and he came back to the UK, and very sadly he died in the UK just 2 or 3 weeks before his Spitfire had appeared from the sand. And incredibly, just before he died, he actually said to his wife, "I wonder whatever happened to my Spitfire, and I wonder if anyone will ever find it." And here we are today, and I think he would be absolutely astonished to know that the aeroplane had been recovered and painstakingly and lovingly restored over the intervening years.